great. Well,
you.
welcome to Triple Threat, Ginger Griffin Snaps Out of Limiting Beliefs and Maladaptive Behaviors. That's right. And today we have the fabulous Jimmy Locust and Ryan Perry Marks. So let's get started by giving a brief introduction to our fabulous guests. Okay, Jimmy Locust has worked with top entertainment industry stars such as Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Paula Abdul, Quincy Jones, and Debbie Allen. He has been featured in iconic music videos and films including Rhythm Nation 1814 and the wedding dance sequence of Coming to America. Jimmy has performed at the Grammy Awards, the Academy Awards, and MTV Music Awards. He was one of the original members of the world-renowned Gus Giordano Jazz Dance Chicago Company, where he also choreographed with Mr. Giordano. And by the way, Mr. Locust was one of the head choreographers for the 1996 Olympics, which is what started our journey together.
It's so cool.
Ryan Perry Marks is an award-winning dancer, actor, singer, and choreographer, originally from Huntington Beach, California, where he attended the Academy for Performing Arts, dual majoring in musical theater and dance. He's performed in Tokyo, Paris, the Czech Republic, as well as all over the U.S., and cannot imagine doing anything else. And let me just say, the way I met Ryan was I had originally decided to have a little self-care, and so I was going to this fabulous studio in Long Beach. And when I met him, I thought, there's something very special about this person. And that struck up our conversation. And then when I mentioned that I was starting a podcast bringing in the famous Jimmy Locust, he said, I know Jimmy. And the timing was perfect because the two of you did Prince of Egypt in San Diego. And Jimmy, when I originally reached out to you, you had said, I've got something in September. Reach me after September, and I had no idea. Right. So everything has synchronicity come together exactly perfectly. But Jimmy, I'm going to pass the ball to you and have you explain a little bit more about our intersection and how you were involved in the 96 Atlanta opening ceremonies and closing ceremonies for the Olympics.
Okay, so back, and I think I started with the Atlanta Hawks as their choreographer director in like 1993, 94. I did like 4 to 5 seasons with them, and I think in 96, Kenny Ortega was directing the Olympics, and I think at that time, I had worked with Kenny on some other projects, but he was so gracious that I have to say this, because I was just bringing the Atlanta Hawks dance team into the gig, because it was a lot of people. But he was so gracious as he saw me there, and he goes, Jimmy, I want to give you a section to choreograph. And it wasn't like a big section, but on that world stage, that magnanimous, for him to be so gracious and kind and trusting that I do some choreography was catapulting to my career. Mm-hmm. And to this day, I still just have fond memories of working with him. He made sure us choreographers and all the dancers were taken care of. And back in those days, that was not on the top of the roster, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Now that we finally got choreography being recognized with SAG and AFTRA and all these things, the fight is paying off. But back then, it was up to the head people to give that credit to other people, and he was so gracious to do that. So, and that's where you did that gig with us, right?
Yes, but I didn't know this about you. So I've been doing your choreography even before I became one of your dancers for the Hawks. I had no idea. So I did know about Kenny because he did he was on that microphone up on that podium when there were 200 dancers for the opening ceremonies. And so the venue was an oval. And they had put me front and center on the side where the Hawks dancers were not. So I was honored to be front and center, but I saw that all the television cameras spanned the opposite side where they were facing the opposite direction, and those were the Atlanta Hawks dancers. And I thought, well, I think I need to try out for the Atlanta Hawks. So I did. But Jimmy, I was so afraid of you during those auditions. Oh my gosh. Yes, thank you, everyone else, goodbye. I mean, like, it was so, right? And I was always afraid of you because you're so fabulous and you lead the way. I mean, you're such a trailblazer. In fact, everyone here are trailblazers, and that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. But I just want to say something else about you, Jimmy. And that is that you allowed me as a dancer for you in the Atlanta Hawks to be myself. You really allowed me to feel comfortable in my own skin when I was pretty intimidated by all of y'all, because the other women had been dancing for you for years. And it was a fantastic experience. And then when you left, I left. I didn't want to be dancing without you. So I didn't ever tell you that, Jimmy, but that's how it went down.
Well, I feel like when I took the job as head choreographer for the Hawks, I had been seeing other stuff around the NBA scene, and I'm like, this is my way to make a mark. So I'm old school. So I'm Debbie Allen old, Otis Salid old. Like, that is like, come in, because they don't have time. And I just graduated with that because I didn't have the time. But I did want to nurture when you got in there to prepare you for the world. Like, that was my kind of idea when I got the Atlanta Hawks dancers. I want you to go on and be something fantastic. And
you did. You did. You prepared us for the world.
Yes, well, thank you. But I think, like you were saying, being direct, I think that's my personality, and I feel like I don't want to waste anyone's time. I want to be clear. I want you to know when we hit that floor, like I was bringing in choreographers like Lavelle Smith, I was bringing in major choreographers, and we were the first NBA team to have male dancers. So we broke.
I did not know that.
Wow.
I didn't know that, Jimmy. That's fantastic. I mean, we have some pictures and of me dancing with our male dancers, and twirling and doing pirouettes, which leads me to the name of this podcast, which is Triple Threat. Ginger Griffin snaps out of limiting beliefs, maladaptive behaviors, but the real triple threat here is Ryan Perry Marks, because as you know, a triple threat in the theater is someone who can sing, dance, and act. And so Ryan, tell us a little bit more about how you have built your career and how your experience was at Prince of Egypt with Mr. Locust.
Oh my gosh, I love this. Triple Threat is such like a big name. You're like, oh my God. But it's exciting. I've been doing this my whole life. Like since I was probably 8 years old, I played Kurt in Sound of Music, and the bug got me early. And so I just love this magical art form that we've all chosen. And so went to school for musical theater and dance, and just have been classically trained in ballet, jazz, like every single dance modality that you could imagine. Because I feel like to be successful in this industry, you have to have every facet of dance in your belt, because there's going to be choreographers that are going to be like, cool, we're going to do a hip-hop section here, we're going to do contemporary here, we're going to do lyrical here, this is going to be tap, this is going to be classical ballet. And so you have to be like, I'm the one, pick me, because I can do all of these styles. And so just like so grateful for my education and setting me up for success to be that person. I just got off the Broadway national tour of Peter Pan like a year and a half ago. And that was like one of the biggest pinnacles of my career. I met Jimmy a few months after that, and and then we did Prince of Egypt together, and it was truly an experience of all experiences. Like, this has been one of my favorite movies of all time, and seeing the West End Pro Shot on Broadway HD, I was like, this is a beast of a show. Because as Jimmy knows, it's essentially like a dance concert disguised as a musical, and it's because the 90% of the show is danced, and it's like you have to have people that are willing to like capital T turn it out, and so like Jimmy was the perfect person to like take the helm. We had our original director choreographer had to step away for health reasons, and so the artistic director of the company called Jimmy. Was the first call. It was like, we need you to make this show happen, and it truly happened exactly the way that it was supposed to happen, because Jimmy's style and expertise like was the perfect fit for this show. And getting to like work with Jimmy so closely, like as his dance captain and assist him on a couple numbers was like a literal dream come true.
I think you did additional choreography, which was amazing. So he did some choreography, and I really respect you, Ryan, about how you handled that, because we had a conversation backstage, and we talked about it. A lot of people are not man enough or not professional enough to say, hey, you know, because I was out a day and the show don't stop. Not
Right.
the show. It's like it moves. And we were doing a number a day, but I really, truly respect you, Ryan, and you killed all of the choreography. And
Thank
I
you.
think you doing the additional choreography that you did made my work, it blended well. It was like we co-choreographed that part together because you understood the vibrancy and where I was going. So I just wanted to interject and say, it wasn't assisting, you did additional, you did your work, and I am
Thank you.
grateful for that.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I
And-
appreciate that.
And Prince of Egypt, the story of Moses setting the people free, is really in line with the theme of this podcast. And so the timing couldn't have been better to bring everyone together. I happen to be in a hotel in Seattle right now at a conference for my work. It's the Association of Family Conciliation Courts, which essentially is the conjunction of attorneys and judges and lawyers who are working together to help bring awareness to the judicial system to help families and family law. And so the family law space is where I spend a bulk of my time. But Jimmy, I have to tell you, I was doing your warm-up this morning and your stretches, and I've been doing them since I danced for you.
I love
Literally,
this. I love this.
So you did change my life. And
Thank
in
you.
order to change the lives of our viewers and those up-and-coming triple threats who have skills and talents that exceed just the usual, I just want to briefly address a little bit about the people who choose to break out of limiting beliefs and maladaptive behaviors so that they can align with their authentic self. And what's interesting to me, timing-wise, is that even though I'm not filming this from our Beverly Hills office like we usually do, I just left a seminar where they talked about code splitting. I believe it's called code splitting, which is a diversity, equity, and inclusion dynamic where people have to run an app in the back of their minds to be assimilated with or accepted into communities where they might otherwise not have opportunities, and how people who have been marginalized have had to really exert tremendous cognitive efforts to achieve their goals and their dreams. And so I just want to pivot and talk a little bit more about our backgrounds and how we have aligned. And specifically, Jimmy, you and I have had very similar paths. Even though I took the legal route and you took the performance route, we both have at our hearts an anti-bullying campaign. And I saw that you have the Harmony. What's that called?
Harmony Nation, yes.
Harmony Nation. And so if you look at the link below, you can see some of Jimmy's fantastic work and how he used his past experience to achieve his goals. So Jimmy, tell us a little bit about how you were able to break the bars of limiting beliefs or maladaptive behaviors that have been exerted on you in order to achieve your great heights and your fantastic success.
Well, I feel like me being an African American man is already a strike in this country. And I heard like a quote that says, I have to be twice as good to get to just the regular door. So that, with me being a foot shorter than everybody else, it was doubly. And so I think my faith really came into play, because I would get, I would go on audition, and, and I would get cut, but my faith told me, there's something here for you to do. So I think after I went through my whole career and, like people like Paula and Janet and Michael and Debbie and Oda Salid and all those people taking a chance on me, when I opened my business, I did Harmony Nation, because these poor kids, after COVID, they're mentally messed up, because this was their world for a year and a half. And then when you came back, people put out their weaknesses on other people. So I decided to do Harmony Nation. And we went through elementary schools and high schools, and we would open with the dance number, and then we did the skit called I Am Who I Am, and they would say, I may not be blah, 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 but I am what I am. And since then, I feel like Harmony Nation is a way of life, and I'm hoping the kids that I touched a decade ago, they're still using it today. And we have it with my foundation. We still do seminars about that, but yes.
And so we'll put a link to your foundation down below. Ryan, when I met you, I was immediately impressed by the way you present yourself. How did you learn to present yourself to just the person on the street in order to really attract and promote what you value?
That's a great question. I really value authenticity within oneself. Like I can, one of my superpowers is being able to like suss out who someone is and then the first like few moments of knowing who they are. And I feel like most of the time I'm pretty right. But I feel like by leading with vulnerability and leading with authenticity, it helps other people be vulnerable and authentic themselves. And as someone who is first generation Asian American, my dad's an immigrant, someone who is LGBT, like being like face forward of like who I am, like I said, opens that pathway for others. And I've always been kind of a confident individual, some would say. My parents said I have always been kind of this magnetic, vivacious child, and it just kind of has grown with me as I've gotten older. And so, just like leading with that has helped attract my community, if you will, and it's helped me I hopefully be successful in this industry, because when you enter a room, it's like people that are behind the table can suss out whether you're like putting on an act or whether you are leading heart forward. And I try to leave every room on a higher vibrational frequency than when I entered it. And so that's something that's very, very important to me.
And that's interesting that you say that about a higher vibrational frequency. When Alex and I get in a room, we start bouncing off one another, the creativity flows, and like Jimmy, you were saying before with Ryan working together, it's amazing how when people are vibrating together, then their brains are wiring together, their neurons are firing together, their brains are wiring together, and that's where we can really achieve results. So what would both of you say to the audience members and the people who are viewing or listening to this podcast who may doubt their own internal authenticity, or perhaps do not have parents or a support system that is able to encourage them? What would you say to the listener who knows that they have something special just because they're who they are, and they need to have an encouraging word? Jimmy, I'll start with you.
Well, I want to piggyback on what Ryan said. I think Ryan has, when I met Ryan, he had that personality that immediately meshed with mine, and I knew I could immediately trust him. And that does not happen very often because, like you said, people walk into rooms and they are somewhat different, and you can tell when they're faking it. And
right.
I feel like he was truly authentic, and we got close very quickly.
Yeah.
What I would say to someone that is feeling unsure or unvalidated, to look within yourself and to know that you're here for a purpose. And until you realize you are here for a purpose, everybody out there is here for a purpose. But what tends to happen is people around us picks at it and takes it away. And if we allow them to take that away, then we have nothing. But we can regain it by simply, I do have something to offer. So that's what I would say.
That's exactly right. And you are correct when you say we don't want to allow people to to take away from who we are as people. And I've called that, referred to program talk, and called that the committee in one's head, right? And so we don't need to listen to sometimes thoughts that don't originate with ourselves. And those are sometimes the limiting beliefs. Now, Jimmy, in your on your website and in your explanation of your life, you talk about how you didn't allow your physical height, for example, to prevent you from becoming a professional dancer and such an amazing force in this industry. If someone has a limitation that they cannot overcome for biological reasons or whatever, what kind of self-talk would that person use in order to achieve their goal, knowing that they do have a purpose?
Well, I just feel like I'm seeing it now on the internet everywhere. You're seeing different body types that are soaring. You see amputees, people in wheelchairs. People now, the one thing I can say about the world and our community now is people are grasping on to who they are. Like, I'm very moved by when I see a pas de deux with a guy in a wheelchair and the girl is dancing, or an amputee still dancing, or someone of a different body type. So I feel it is happening now, and I feel our community is accepting enough now for diverseness. On the internet world.
Let me push you back. I'm pushing back on that. Now, let me say this. So here I am at a conference in Seattle, and I went to a diversity, equity, and inclusion seminar last night that was filled with the room was filled with people who have in the past been marginalized. And why are you there, Ginger? Right? Well, I'm a woman, so that is one obstacle that I needed to overcome. But we're not there yet, Jimmy. In the artistic world, there's a little more progress, I believe, in accepting others who are diverse, neurodivergent thinkers, whatever. However, let's bridge this now. I would love to be a bridge to the legal community, right? And even in law school, I heard a voice from behind me. A man said, "Oh, look at all the women in this room. Wow." And I immediately bristled. He wasn't there the following week because in law school you look to your left and you look to your right and those people are gone by the time you're done. And so, but the legal world is starting to accept a little more diversity and different, besides the straight, white, middle-aged man. But there is still quite a bit of ways to go. And so not only in the legal community, but then let's pivot to the psychological community. Because, Jimmy, the reason I use Triple Threat as my title is because I'm a dancer, but I'm also a psychologist and a lawyer. And I was downstairs in this seminar right before we started this production today, and I told one of my peers who has known me for years that I was going up to interview Jimmy Locust. He said, "Who?" And I said, "Jimmy Locust. Like, we did the Janet and Michael Scream choreography when I was with the NBA." And he said, "You were what?" And I said, "I am a former professional dancer, Ben." And he said, "What?" I had no idea. And I thought, you know what? Why am I not leading with authenticity among my peers? Well, because Ginger, the dancer, might not have been taken seriously as Virginia, the litigator, right? So I kind of needed a little bit of notches in my belt and wins under me in order to feel like I could come out, right, and be my authentic self. But I had killed part of myself by not being authentic.
Well,
and so
okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, please go.
No, I was gonna say I was giving my views on what I see in the art world. Now, in the real world with politics, we see our country crumbling at this very moment by our leadership that is happening and things that are going on, and getting rid of the, EI, all those things are gone. Getting rid of all ethnic types of backgrounds and histories, and that is a big fallback for me. And I see that,
Agreed.
and I do have, I feel again, Ryan and we have to be better because everything's against us and you too, because it's not just different races, but now they're getting at the women. So I feel like, yes, we have a long way to go, but I'm also a positive thinker. So when I see a different body type man that is saying, I'm not afraid anymore to go into a room, that's progress to me.
It's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I love that you clarified that. And I also love the progress that I felt when I was able to say, I disagree, Jimmy, because I remember the day. I mean, I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, okay? Good little girls don't open their mouths. They have babies and they serve their husbands dinner. Well, guess what? I have an opinion and I have a voice. And I remember the first day my lawyer, when I got divorced, said, Virginia, just write an email back that says I disagree. And I said, what? Wait, you mean I can disagree with a man? Really? Like, how bold. And then in law school, my first professor said, to the entire class, have an opinion, be an advocate, use your voice. And I literally was Han Solo coming out of the carbon freezing chamber, right?
Yes.
Like, I came out of that and I was like, I felt like I was breathing for the first time forever, right? So let's use our voices. And Ryan, you're a trailblazer. Jimmy, you're a trailblazer. Alex, you're a trailblazer. I even say trailblazer rather than pioneer because pioneer gives a connotation that you're like wearing prairie hats or whatever and like going across the U.S.
Correct.
But we are blazing trails. And now I want to point out though that there are obstacles, right? Let me say, it's lonely to be an eagle flying in the front, right? But if you ain't the lead dog, the view never changes. So let's talk about those obstacles. What happens? Let's talk about some obstacles. I'll start. I was in court on Thursday in San Diego. And the opposing counsel said to me, well, I've been practicing law for 30 years, Virginia, blah, 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 blah. I hear it all the time. So I used my psychological background to intimidate him and force him into getting an agreement on behalf of both of our clients, which saves everybody money. And then I used my performance background to non-verbally communicate with the judge the entire time. And by the time we were finished, the bench officer ordered everything I asked for. So I'm going to start with you. Let's start with you, Ryan. What obstacles have you overcome using your triple threat abilities in theater or in life?
Oh my gosh! When you were speaking, this example came to my brain. It's I was doing a show a few years ago. I will not say which show. But what was funny is I had heard when we had the audition, I like left the callback and I was like, I booked it. I was like, crushed it. Booked it. First day of rehearsal a few months later, we get our like tracking sheets of like what our track as an ensemble member is going to look like through the show. And I was like, oh, this is not what I was expecting. That's interesting. And so we're going through the show, we're learning the show, the show's being choreographed. And I'm like, and I mean this in the most humble way. Like I know my skill set well, and I'm like, I'm not a dancer that's usually in the back. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. And I was like not towards
Maybe it was for height. Maybe it was because of height.
See, I'm getting there. And I was like, this is interesting. I'm not usually towards the back. This is so strange. I had learned from the director because it was the same director choreographer from his associate that he had tracked the show based upon what people looked like in their headshot because he didn't take any notes during the callback and forgot what everyone's skill set was. And so I was like, oh, okay. So he remembers that I was maybe not the tallest and was maybe not the most buff man he'd ever seen. Like I have a prima ballerina dancer's body, like a male dancer's body. Like I'm very muscular, but I'm not like physically huge. And
Lean.
Lean, exactly.
With gorgeous lines.
Thank you.
Gives rise to gorgeous lines. Those of you who don't know what that means, we'll explain it in a minute.
Absolutely. And so I found myself in an interesting situation that was super unfamiliar. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to just take a slice of humble pie and I'm going to do exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I was just intrigued to see the choices that were being made because it was like people that were more physically appealing in like a non-dancing sense or looked a certain way that didn't maybe look as brown or as Asian as I look. And so I found that very fascinating. And then towards when we opened the show, one of the principal dancers got super ill the final weekend and they had no understudies, and the associate calls me the night before the Thursday show of the 7-show weekend and was like, Ryan, we need you to learn this part last minute and essentially save the show. And I was like,
and you were like, I already know the part, no problem.
Got it, no problem. Showed up for the student matinee at 10 a.m. the next day, and again, most humbly, was literally perfect. And and the director flew in from out of town to see the show, and could not have been more grateful. And I was like, I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity, and also like let's not have limiting beliefs in the future about how people maybe look in their headshots, and like take a moment on the first day of rehearsal to maybe like reassess skill sets if like you don't necessarily remember. And I was like, I'm gonna be really brave and say this out loud. And he was like, you are absolutely correct. And then he apologized, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so and I've worked with him since, and it's been great. But it was just so interesting of how sometimes you have to utilize your triple threat skill set to
triple threat. I love that triple threat skill set.
From the back to the front.
Agree. Well, you know, speaking of having good lines, and I'm not talking about the lines that we sing when we're singing a song, and I'm not talking about the lines that an actor memorizes before he or she goes on camera. I'm talking about the lines that you can see when you go on Jimmy Locust's website when he's in front of the ocean doing these fabulous, gorgeous poses.
Yes.
Jimmy, you have the ball. Go for it. Tell us all about how you navigated the situation.
I want to backtrack because I want to kind of talk about Ryan, because I think that's one of the reasons why we're on the podcast together. Ryan is very correct as far as he's the type of person that comes in and you will make a track for him because he's so focused, present, and respectable, and like knowing when to speak and knowing when to interject. And that is an art form that a lot of people don't have. So I want to say that to you, Ryan. I think when we did this gig together, you did some brilliant solo work for me, just brilliant. But you were the most humble as you were working, and the most respectful person. And that's why I would say to you, yes, use additional choreography, because you carry yourself in a way that us old professionals look for.
Excuse me, we do not say old professionals.
I can say
seasoned.
it.
No, you cannot.
You
seasoned,
can say
because then I
want.
identify with you.
Right. It's fine. Whatever. It's like, that's the way the throwback is. The main thing is that I'm seasoned, but you kind of really just present yourself very, very good. So I want you to hold on to that, and I want to say that publicly because a lot of people don't lift up other people in this business.
Well, you do, Jimmy, you do, and your voice is so encouraging. And like I interviewed Padro last week, he was a teacher for me even before I met you, and he continues to teach me to this day, every time he opens his mouth. And similarly, you do as well, because you not only gave us tools to go on to succeed in life, just from having danced for you with the NBA, but also in watching the work that you've done ever since and how you've blazed that trail across industries. And so tell us a little bit more about how you overcame other obstacles that were in your way and how you were able to use your triple threat skill set.
Perfect. Yeah, I got sidetracked with Mr. Ryan.
No. You needed to say it. I needed you to say it.
You're
Thank
the best.
you.
Thank you.
But yeah, so I think perseverance is a word that I would like to start with. And if you give up your perseverance, no one will see you, in my eyes. So when I auditioned for Paul Abdul probably like 5 times. And every time I went, I would be right in the front, and I would dance my heart out, and I would get cut. And then I would be like, okay, and just go back, and the next audition I would still come. And then on the 4th audition after being cut, she goes, you know, I see you, and I'm gonna be doing my music soon. And that was like an all types call. Those were my calls, because when they say all types, that means they don't really know what they're looking for. So that means anybody can come, and that's where I really thrived. So that obstacle of me just not giving up and going to the point of where Paula said, I'm gonna put you in Coming to, I think I did her music first, then she did Coming to America. Not only did she book me for that job, but then she gave me a section where it was like me and the boys, like and that comes from the fight. That comes from the perseverance of being a respectful person in the room, being that quiet person and lively when need be, but listening to what's around you, because there's a lot of stuff happening to you, happening in those rooms. And
Yes.
if you are too loud, you'll miss something that you're supposed to hear.
Right.
And then you won't get booked on nothing.
That's right. That's right.
So I learned that from just going through back-to-back auditions. Moving forward to like Janet, like I did a bunch of things of like that were for, I played a kid in tons of movies, because at that point they didn't have to have a parent on the set.
Oh, yeah.
I could go and do boom, boom, boom. Tons of gigs from Paula. That led to like Janet, a same thing. It was an all types call. And when I got to that call, I'm like, I went to like 6 callbacks for that job. And I'm like, I'm going to fight to get this job. I'm like, I mean, it was so many people there. To make a long story short, after
Make it long. Make it long. Give us the whole story.
Well, after the 5th callback, we went in for the 6th callback. And this one was, you went in 4s, and they said, do the choreography that you learned and then freestyle. So
we love
this
improv.
No, we do not. I do not. No, thank you.
Well, this is where, like Ryan was saying, this is where technique came in. So
Yeah.
I know I would stand out if I did a split-leap,
Yes.
quadruple pirouette, stack
Yes.
something down,
Yes.
boom,
Yes.
boom, knee slide. I pulled out everything.
Every trick I had.
Woo! Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I walked in the room and Janet was right there. And I almost passed out because I'm such a fan of hers.
Yeah,
so
she's
I
good.
tried, I had to hide that. But they said, okay, you're on. And then I just saw her. And when I looked at her, she smiled at me like, it was just, I just went like,
Oh.
I just exhaled, and then I lived my best
Yes.
life. You know, and that's what she does for her dancers. She lets them be their best person, and which led me to Michael. I didn't really audition for Michael. I got pre-booked for Michael through Lavelle Smith and Travis Payne. So they
Wow.
called me, and they were like, well, Michael would like to use you in the MTV Awards. I'm like, I don't have to audition. They're like, no, you're booked. And
Offer
I
only.
I later found out from Travis Payne, and I have to say, Travis Payne and Lavelle Smith, they advocated for me. I know that. They will say Travis said to me, Michael wanted to see the best people, and you're one of those people.
Wow.
So it doesn't
Heck yeah.
matter what height you are, but you're one of those people.
Correct.
And that let me know from that point on, I don't need to let the stares or the whispers, who's that little boy, like all that stuff used to
Right.
make me sweat.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, because
Right.
I'm like, I'm not this what you think I am. I am a man. But people's eyes, they didn't know. So I really, as I matured, I really shouldn't be mad at them, because I did look like a little boy. I was young, and I thank God for that now, because I still don't look my age, I feel. But you know what I mean?
You look the same.
So, but that.
So do I,
helped
right?
me. Yeah, we all
Right,
look
Jimmy?
good. We all,
Yes,
yeah.
we do.
So,
Right.
yeah. But I think that helped me get over it. Getting over one helped me just, then I got a reputation in LA. So then people were calling me. Like, I auditioned for Debbie. I had to sing I did 2 Academy Awards, like back to back with her. But, you know, Debbie's a tough cookie. So Debbie's that old school vibe where you come in and you better know all your technique. And you better
Yes.
sing on pitch, and you better not play around. So I knew with Debbie, it was like, yes, okay, yes, Miss Allen,
Right.
no, Miss Allen, because she'll read you, like she read me on some, I missed a turn, she read me up and down, but I looked around the room and there were all red lights, which means they're filming from all over the world at the academies. So the one thing I learned from Mr. Giordano is you never are disrespectful, because he told me film is forever. So I knew then, even though I felt like I was being mistreated, I still, or not mistreated, well, kind of.
Overlooked, potentially.
Overlooked.
Right.
But I still remained and said, yes, because I'm not going to let myself look like a certain way in front of cameras that may come back now and say, if I got some type of accolade, someone could say, well, here's Jimmy at the Academy Awards where he was like rolling his eyes at Miss Debbie Allen. Like, you would never catch that happening.
Yeah.
So those are the things that come with the fight. And I think
Absolutely.
and that's what I give to the kids at my studio now. I'm like, I have a lot of people that have Down syndrome or these things. I'm like, you coming in the class, we're gonna give you that perseverance. And I train my staff to be like, we are not a conservatory, but we're a compassionate place for, like, not misfits, because I feel like I was kind of a misfit, but for everybody. Like, you may not be the perfect body type, but you can be in my focus hip hop group if you can hit the step. I don't
Exactly.
mind about that. So I think I want to change the world with the children that I'm having now, to let them go, because I have a bunch heading to college. I had single conversations with them like, you be careful when you go to school. Put your hand over your drink if you're going to do it. Being mindful to these, like, especially these girls, because a boy will say, I love you, and then that's what the girl wants, and then something happens, and next thing you know, she's giving up the cookies, and that's not what they want.
Yeah.
But you're not just teaching children, you're teaching, your classroom's bigger. It's wide reaching, and you continue to teach. I mean, you equipped me. You equipped me, Jimmy, when I danced for you. I got an award at the very end of the season that I stood for my principles. I don't know if you remember that, but it took courage for me. I as a dancer who was chosen to be on the team, there was an issue where I needed to stand on a principle that, in which I believed, and you supported me. Even though I was different than some of the other dancers. And I'll never forget that, which enabled me to then go and be persistent to sit for the bar exam. But you said a couple of key things that I want to address, and that is the persistence and also the callbacks. I didn't pass the bar the first time, and boy, I'll tell you, it was very difficult to pull up my bootstraps and sit again, right? I had to start over on my bar review and study, but the persistence is really one of the keys to making it, to achieve a person's goals and dreams. By the way, I also danced under Paula Abdul in Santa Barbara because I cheerleaded for UCLA. So I was on the UCLA dance team, right?
That's so cool.
So I'm going to try to invite her to come and join us on another episode. And I've already reached out to Ms. Allen and heard from her assistant.
Yeah.
So,
They're great people. They're really great. Paula's really open to stuff like that.
She's great. I know. I appreciate that. But so I wanted to circle back on the keys that you have said, because the people who are listening and watching this podcast can really learn, as you are such a great teacher, from the experiences, from all of our experience, strength, and hope, which is that's another expression from a 12-step program, which is a very helpful program for anyone who's struggling with addictions. And I'm not promoting that. I'm just saying that the committee in your head, or the committee that is fed to you, might not really be your voice. It might be naysayers or others who are trying to oppress you. And there's one more principle I want to point out, which is the greater the oppression sometimes is an indication from the universe that there is extreme talent that just needs to be unleashed. And I can say from experience, having undergone significant oppression myself, that made me tougher and stronger and better. I find that having gone through difficult times and having to persevere and try again, go to several callbacks. Jimmy, that's amazing. 5, 6 callbacks is really a key to snapping out of those limiting beliefs and getting over maladaptive behaviors like quitting, which is a maladaptive behavior. And so take a page from our books and really try to remember that persistence is one of the keys. I want to go back, Jimmy. Go ahead.
I was going to say, thinking of what you were just talking about, the perseverance, like Debbie Allen, if she didn't see that perseverance, that I could handle her direction, she wouldn't have invited me back next year for the Academy Awards for the 65th. So
Exactly.
you make those impressions with these choreographers, and they will remember. They'll remember and they'll call you back. And I think that's one thing I'll say. Debbie is loyal. Like, I did 2 Academy Awards with her. I did the Pollyanna movie. She had me playing boys, and she goes, "You're versatile, boy. You can do it." And that was something that made me embrace that then. Mm-hmm. And she was one of those that kind of, you know, in her way, because Debbie's major. Like, from Broadway, like, I still research Debbie and look at her stuff. This woman is major, and she's conquered so many boundaries. But I do thank her for kind of not giving up on me. Or even when there was one time we were doing, when Beauty and the Beast was on the Academy Awards, and it's an animated film, so they were bringing the real people that sang it, and that was the first time an animation was nominated for an award or whatever. So the cool thing about Debbie was there's a character called LeFou or something like that. I didn't know at that time. Debbie asked me to do LeFou, and I think this is where I feel Debbie is really cool, because LeFou is one of the characters of the show. So I went from being a dancer in the show to a character with lines in the show. So I had never seen it at that point, and she goes, "He just talks really fast." And I was like, and I said, kind of like what? And then I gave her an example, like, ba 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 ba, gee, ba ba ba. I started doing all this stuff. She goes, "That's it." So we had the point where, I don't know if you have this footage, but he says something about, "Is that the girl?" and blah, blah, blah. But she put in a throw. She said, "I want you to throw him." And I'm like, okay. And this is like a non-dancer, not knowing.
Yeah.
And he was kind of uncomfortable. So I said, "Why don't you try grabbing me at my waist and going straight out, and then I'll try to add something." And they put a mat down. He threw me, and I fell, and then we finally got it right where he throws me, and I do a tour in the air tuck, and then I come down, and then I get in with the kids. But the thing I love about Debbie is after that, she goes, "You're going to bow with the stars."
Incredible.
Wow.
So I went like with Jerry Rohrbacher, the girl who played Belle, and the guy who played Gaston. The 4 of us took a bow together. And
Incredible.
I'm like, that's why I love Debbie. Because
Yes.
Debbie will give you your flowers when someone else may say different. But she used her authority to give me that opportunity to take that bow. And that was just incredible, and I will never forget that for her. So very
She opened
grateful.
doors for you, and similarly, you opened doors for me, and we're all opening doors, hopefully, on this podcast for the viewers. Jimmy, did you know I was so thrilled to get to do the Scream choreography for the Janet and Michael. So that was part of what you taught us. So we got to wear the leather pants and the hats. Oh,
Fun.
I love that.
Fun.
It was so fun. I'll just, the experiences that we had dancing together were so amazing, and they were such life changes for me. And one of the, besides doing your warm up literally every day since I met you, literally, not every day because I don't work out every day, but I mean, seriously, that's my stretch.
Thank you.
One other thing that you taught me, which I want to just share with the viewers and listeners, is finishing well. We did this one dance where I screwed up. I had some blanks. I like messed up so bad. It was the one where we were doing pretend audition for
Course line.
Yes, and of course I couldn't get that choreography at all because it wasn't normal, like hip hop and funky like what I like that you would teach us, but it was different, and I blanked on that badly in front of everyone. But what you taught us, I tried to incorporate in principle, which was finish well. So even if you screw up and you have to do several callbacks, or you don't pass the bar exam the first time, or you don't get an audition, or you don't have an opportunity like Ryan to just jump in, and save the day, finish well. And so I just want to take a couple of minutes before we wrap up and have each of us, including you, Alex, talk about an experience where we may have fallen but we finished well, and I'll start. So I was dancing for the UCLA dance team, and we were at the University of Arizona. I'll never forget that stadium because the audience will say U of A, clap, right? And so it's really loud in there. And the television cameras were rolling, and they were filming me, and we did this lane change. And so I had to flip my hair down and go backwards, walk backwards, and then come back up to do a lane change because we were in the front, and then we switched, right? And I fell on my tuchus.
Ooh.
In a stadium. I don't think that the cameras were rolling for that part, but I got up, and and this was before I knew you, Jimmy, because I was still just in college, and pretended like I hadn't, and I kept going, right?
Perfect.
So, but that just leads very well to the finish well principle, because even when we fall, we've got to get up and finish it like you just nailed it and smile. And that's how you win an audition as well. So who wants to go next?
I have one that I can give an example because this happened last week. So
I love it.
So for context for you guys, I'm a video producer at BuzzFeed. That's where I primarily work in
Amazing.
Hollywood. And last week we were just purchased. We have a new owner of BuzzFeed. And so last week we had set up one of our sound stages to kind of give a presentation to him as to like what all the different departments do and what everyone is working on. And of course, in the middle of me giving the like what my department at BuzzFeed is working on, all the mics go out. The audio is gone. And then I also have a background in theater, so I was like, okay, well, you know, what are we gonna do? I was like, this is where your theater voice comes out, everyone. So
Period.
I get up there and I say, I yell, "Yeah, can everyone hear me in the back? Yes, okay, great." And I was able to finish the whole thing, but and then as soon as I finished, our audio guy is like, "We're good now."
No.
It's like, well, okay, awesome, great.
You're like, great.
Just
Like you
making
had
it work.
that diaphragmatic support training.
Ryan, why don't you go next?
Thank you. I will never forget this day. I was at what is essentially the Modern Dance Olympics. It is this festival in Prague, in the Czech Republic, called the International Prague Dance Festival. It's this huge festival where companies from all over the globe come and compete. And I was there with my dance company in 2018, I think. And we brought the 4 dances. 2 of them were group numbers. We brought a duet, and then we brought my contemporary solo. Ooh. And it is in the finals. Like, this is it. Like, we have competed for days, and this is like the final showcase. And it's like, these are the top 5 in every category. And so I was in the top 5 for my contemporary solo. And literally, you're performing for thousands of people in this like theater that's 1 million years old, and you're like, oh my god, this is a dream come true.
Wow.
But we sometimes, as a performer, you enter what's called the white room, where you forget what comes next.
Right.
And so I'm in the middle of my solo, and I literally am like, what comes next? Because there's this moment where I like come into this ball in the middle of the stage, and there's like a moment of stillness, and I was like, I don't remember what comes next. And this carries on for probably like 30 seconds in my brain. And really, in reality, it's like 10 seconds. But I full on improv for for the length of time that it actually is, which is probably 10 seconds. But then I finally get back into the groove. But there was a moment you immediately freak out. Your heart starts beating so fast. You start to turn tomato red. You're sweating profusely. And you're like, what am I going to do?
Oh, no.
And so it ended up being totally fine, but in the moment, freaking the you-know-what out, but full-on improv, just trusting the skill sets that I had. And I ended up getting first, and it was just like a full validation. I have like I still have it over here, a huge Swarovski vase was like the fully engraved. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Congratulations.
Yeah. But thank you. It was crazy. Insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we saved Jimmy to conclude.
I think mine would be doing the Michael Jackson MTV Awards, where we rehearsed in New York at Sony or something. And so during the process, there's a part where I cross the stage and I look at Michael. So in all the rehearsals, it had to be 4 days. And I was panicking because every time I did the salute, he wouldn't look at me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get fired. I'm thinking like something's gonna happen. So that was day 2. Day 3, we move into this space. I'm going across to my part and I'm dancing hard and I do it and he's like, didn't pay me any mind. And so I went to Travis and Lavelle and I'm like, am I doing something wrong? I'm really, I was just mortified because this is Michael Jackson.
Right.
And they're like, no, you're cool, just keep it up. And I'm like, okay. So when we get to the show, because I wanted to give up, like I want to say, you know, and I want to backtrack. During this process, there were like 8 sections, and I would learn every section I would have, and they'll pick like, okay, you 5, okay, you 4, you died, and I wouldn't get any sections, none, because the one thing about being small is either you're going to be a soloist, you can't be a core dancer like me, you know, you just can't. So I learned every section, which I ate it up. I mean, I ate learning it up. I was very excited. But then we got to this section where I had it, and he wasn't acknowledging. I'm like, my time is up here. I'm gonna get fired.
One foot out the door.
Fast forward to the show. We do the dress rehearsal. I see Janet in the audience. Janet and Tina Landon. I'm like, hey, Janet. And I love Janet. Like,
yeah.
I'm a serious Janet fan, even though I danced for her. I love her.
Yes.
So in the show, me not giving up, I went across and I did the salute, and he looked back and actually smiled at me. I almost passed out there.
Yeah.
You know, just because I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong. And if I had a gave up, if I had said this is not working, or if I had went to Travis and Lavelle and said, like, I don't feel like this is right, or anything, I could have lost me being looking at Michael in front of 10 million people. Like, so that's the perseverance that I didn't give up. But I felt like, because my feelings were getting hurt, I think. I'm like, I'm working hard. What do I need to do? But that was the thing that kind of said when he looked at me and I got off stage, and then we went on tour in Europe with the same number. It was just great. So that was one of my scariest moments of not giving up.
No, that's fantastic. What a great story. And that's really segues into our podcast, because we are working on the next episode, which is what happens when our feelings get hurt, and how to deal with those emotions, and how to help the right brain and the left brain communicate with itself. And so we can actually move forward in our creativity and our highest, best self. So once again, we have synchronicity, and the timing is fabulous. I just want to conclude by asking each of you to tell the listener and the audience where to find you next. What's your next gig that's coming up? So I'll start with you, Ryan.
Oh my gosh. I am currently playing Kevin G in the regional premiere of Mean Girls. Yes, very excited. I got a bunch of shows coming up also in the Southern California area up until the end of this year. You can find me on Instagram at Ryan Perry Marks or at ryanperrymarks.com.
And Jimmy, how do we find you on your next big gig?
Well, my next job is I teach for the last, I want to say 12 years, I am a master teacher at Boca Ballet Theater's Summer Intensive. Ooh. So I'm heading there, and it's great dancers from all over the country, and they bring in ballet directors, and the dancers are actually auditioning for these companies have openings. So some people get picked up and get on contract. So I'm doing that, and then I head to Chicago to teach at the Gus Giordano School for their summer intensive. And I'm kicking off in late June. The Locust Foundation is partnering with the mayor of Tamarack, which is where my home is in Florida. And I'm creating a dance festival with the mayor in Tamarack. So
amazing.
Things are looking good.
Yes.
Oh,
so
and you
quickly,
can find me. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Find me at jimmylocust.com. My studio is locustperformingarts.com, and my foundation is thelocustfoundation.org. And on Instagram, I am Jimmy Locust.
Well, thank you so much to Jimmy Locust and Ryan Perry Marks and Alex Hinsky for this fabulous episode of Triple Threat. Ginger Griffin snaps out of limiting beliefs and maladaptive behaviors
so that we can all align with our authentic and true self. And I just thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being here and sharing all of your fantastic stories. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Woo.